energy flows through us. And it's really important for us to keep the energy points healthy and flowing very openly, okay? The spinning wheel or disc that you're referring to is the Sanskrit name for chakra. So if any of the chakra is experiencing blockages, you are going to be experiencing an emotional or a physical symptom.
Hey, healthcare providers, you're listening to the Burnt Out to Lit Up podcast, hosted by myself, Erica, and my husband, Michael. We're an OTPT team that understands the healthcare industry's got some serious issues.
Inspired by our own experience with burnout, we've made it our mission and passion to help you navigate your career in healthcare by cultivating wellness, growing both personally and professionally, and advocating for a better workplace.
Whether you are a clinician or manager, new grad or seasoned vet, join us each week as we share interviews, research, stories, and strategies that will give you the tools to go from burnt out to your most lit up self.
Let's dive in.
My energy creates my reality. What I focus on is what I will manifest.
Ooh.
Well, this is a card I pulled from my card deck from Gabrielle Bernstein. The universe has got your back. And this has been like, so in the morning I'll do 3 cards, and then each one, okay, so there's one for the past, present, and future. So whichever one represents the present, I keep with me at my desk while I'm working. So this was the card of the day. My energy creates my reality. What I focus on is what I will manifest. I really like that.
Yeah, which ties right into our guest that we have, which was
really cool
and needs like a second at least part. I hope we can do one, but
man, yeah, Stephanie, she is a psychic, medium, intuitive, empath, intuitive coach, author, and soul mentor, based in Boise, Idaho. Did we go through Idaho during our road trip?
Yeah, we didn't go through Boise though. We went through like the top panhandle kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, it was really pretty.
Really beautiful up there. I mean, a lot of just, mountains and hills and woods. It seemed really cool, but since it was that little sliver at the top, we didn't really stop in it.
No, I mean, during our road trip, we could only stop at so many places. It was already a long road trip.
Yeah.
But,
so yeah, this one was awesome. We talked about a lot of things that, like, as healthcare providers, no one really talks about or believes in.
Well, I think that's general, because to say that a healthcare provider is not spiritual, that's really general.
It's not necessarily true, but it's thought it was worth mentioning.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because we're a diverse healthcare providers, it's so diverse. You have people like us that are therapists in allied health, and then you have physicians and nurses. And I remember when we were in school, we learned about anesthesiology assistants.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Anesthesiology assistants. Like, did you?
No, I guess not until I got to school. Yeah.
And when I found out about that, I was a little jealous, to be honest. I mean,
why didn't I choose that?
No, not like because I regret being an OT, but my grandfather was an anesthesiologist in Cuba.
Yeah.
Do you know the story?
Yeah, sure. He was real stressed.
He was in Cuba. He was an anesthesiologist. No, but this is when he moved to Miami. And I think when you move to a new country, I'm not sure if his medical, I think he was always a nurse. My bad. I think he was always a nurse, but in Cuba at the time, in the 50s, yeah, they did anesthesia. So when my family moved from Cuba to Miami, he was working as a nurse in anesthesia. And I think he left to work and he got called back to go into work. And I think he had a stroke because of the stress.
Stressed about going back in.
Yeah, but you want to know what? Dude, so my other grandfather, on my mom's side, his dad worked in a mine in Cuba, left, got called to go back in for an emergency, and he died in the mine.
Oh my gosh, it's like the same.
So, like, work has been killing my family.
Yeah.
Damn. I don't know what to think about that.
Just put that together.
Well, they're so morbid.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why we have this podcast is to help you live your most lit up self. So maybe it's this ancestral family problem that I am solving unconsciously. like being lit up at work and dealing with burnout and stress at work. I just connected those dots, Mike.
That's real. It's real stuff.
This is happening live.
Anyway, we had Stephanie on the podcast, and we talked a lot about
energy.
Yeah, energy, empathy, empathic.
Being an empath. And how that can be harmful not harmful, but how that could be dangerous for an empath to be in a really stressful environment. And she talks about how being an empath is truly a gift. I'm an empath, and I just remember, like, I pick up energies, and I feel sometimes like my energy zones are attacked. Like, I never put it into words, but when I was getting a lot of anxiety at work and dealing with those high energies and all these conflicts, and outpatient is not necessarily fast-paced either when you think about it compared to inpatient, but I was still overwhelmed by the energies, and that was one part of the reason why I was crying and breaking down at work. It was just this like energy overload, and also having these like energy conflicts in my personal life, with energy vampires and all these things that Stephanie goes into.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot she talked about that. That was. I mean, we went over so many things. It was hard to like ask her about everything that at least I wanted to ask about.
I knew you would be so interested in this interview.
It's just like, it was interesting. Definitely interesting.
Like your mind.
She did a psych. We wouldn't call it psychic. It was like an energy reading on me.
You, yeah.
Which was, she was kind of spot on. It was pretty interesting, actually. You'll hear it.
Yeah, well, I want to mention that Stephanie is the author of the Happy Empaths Workbook, and I went through this workbook once. She sent it to me, and I was so grateful for that. I went through it once, but I have to go through it again and like dive into it, because this workbook, you find out a lot about everything we talk about in this interview if you want to go deeper into that, and things that just, man, I have so many. So Stephanie, she talks about emotions and the body. And this workbook has been really helpful for me to identify how I need to ground myself and how I need to balance myself and all my energies. So this book that Stephanie has, like, I just highly recommend. It's in the show notes. And also, you can find Stephanie, because we forgot to talk about it. You can find her at the Divine Soul Journey on Instagram. So it's just Divine Soul Journey. And let me check her website really quick, because I don't want to get it wrong. Because I want you to be able to connect with her. Oh, I have no internet. It's been happening all day.
It's all right. I can look it up.
So, okay. But Divine Soul Journey is her Instagram, and she has her link tree with all her links in there. And I was really happy to connect with Stephanie, because I felt like this could be a really cool turn that our podcast could take, because we are about holistic wellness, right? And I wish that when I was brand new working in healthcare, that I would have taken my personal growth seriously. Actually, I wasn't even thinking about my personal growth or diving into any personal development. So that's the whole point of this podcast, is to provide you with an outlet to dive into your personal development.
It's actually divinesouljourney.net.
Oh, that's her website. Okay. Yeah, she's badass.
Yeah, I mean, the way I think of it is, it's like, from being in healthcare, for a couple years now, it's like the one thing that I've realized about healthcare is that it doesn't, like, the traditional healthcare system doesn't understand everything about why people have symptoms or conditions and
it's
how
not
to
perfect
fix it. It's
at all.
Definitely an imperfect knowledge base collectively, and and that goes with medicine to therapy to psychology to all those different things. And it's like, when I first hear the term like empath and energy and chakra, it's like, I guess it's like a knee jerk for me to be like, oh, okay, I don't necessarily skeptical. It's like my skepticism, like, senses turn on, right? But, who are we to say that there's not something to that? And that's kind of why we like to have people like Stephanie on, and I hope to have more people like that on in the future. So if you're someone like me who's a little bit skeptical, like, just like give it more of a chance than you think.
Well, in my research for the burnout courses I'm creating, a part of it is mindfulness, right? And meditation. And there's a ton of studies out there. I've read a lot of studies, like so many studies. My brain has so many tabs open, but there's a lot of studies.
Not enough RAM.
Not enough RAM?
RAM's like computers. Like
yeah.
If you, like if you have more RAM in your computers, the more things it can do at the same time without like crashing.
Yeah, I took computer class.
You have like 4 gigs
I just don't
of RAM.
remember. Yeah, I don't have much RAM. But there's a lot of studies. That's all I do. All I do is read studies and create courses. Studies on meditation and how that changes the brain matter. And who are we to say that the traditional system is right in every way, shape, or form? That I just liked hearing, and I am open to this. This year I'm going through my own Saturn's return, which that's a whole other thing. That's a super deep.
Dude, me too. Even like I felt that too. It's like, and that was like right before we started travel therapy and before we really dove into this business head first and stuff. It was like there was this pull. It was like this pull to do something
deeper.
Yeah, like bigger than what we were doing. And it's like, that's what people talk about when they talk about Saturn's return. If you've never heard of that, look it up, because if you're like around your 30s and you're feeling a pull, you're feeling like, quarter life crisis kind of situation, like that stuff's real. Like I felt that.
Yeah. I'm currently going through my Saturn return, and personally speaking, it's things that I didn't even think were bad for me that I actually have been making decisions to just eliminate from my life. Like I just don't need it anymore, and then I need something else. I've never been like that. Like this year has been the most challenging, trying year, but the most growth I think I've ever experienced. Even facing my own self, getting myself out of the way, and I still have a lot to go because this is a huge fuckery. It is. It's a mind fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. I just had to say it.
Fuckery in your mind.
Oh, totally. It's
the tabs. It's
all the tabs in my head and all the synchronicities happening in my life. I'm just learning to listen more to myself and listen to, I have been meditating for 2 years, but this is like what I was doing before was just warm up. Now it's like I'm really getting into my spirituality. And that looks different for people. That looks different for everyone. Like Mike and I, like, I know we like to get into nature, and that's like another way we connect with our spirituality.
Yeah. I just like absorb, like if I'm like in nature, we were just talking about this, about, how we can like connect more, I guess, with like some kind of energy that like makes us feel really good. And it's like every time I'm out in nature, like we hike or something, it's like I absorb that. Like I feel like I'm just like drinking it, like I'm drinking this like awesome like energy that's just making me feel so great that I don't have when I'm in an office or I'm at home or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I encourage you the listener, if you're listening, to explore what the spirituality means to you. And we know that doesn't have anything to do with religion, although you can make it that, and that's up to you. And for me, I do have a religious component to it, but just to explore your spirituality, and that's something that I think just is a foundational thing to get connected with your body, your mind, your soul, the 3 parts of you, and you can't isolate them. Everything is working together, and especially in healthcare, where we're very, generally speaking, not everyone, because you are not like this, Mike, but lots of us are type A's, and we like to know black and white, and sometimes things aren't black and white.
Yeah, for sure. So
let's
couple quick things before we start the interview. We have a lot of new listeners, which is like awesome. If you're listening to this for the first time, welcome. We're super stoked to have you along. we love to, give you guys great content like this interview coming up. You guys are going to love it. But if you can, take a second, go on iTunes or wherever you're listening to this podcast and, give a rating, and, leave a comment, review, all that stuff that you hear about. That really does help. If you're finding some benefit from this podcast, or if you're enjoying it in general and you haven't already, go on and, give us a rating and stuff.
Yeah, I know sometimes you're like, oh, I'll do it later. I got you. I'll do it later. But then you don't do it later.
Yeah, try.
So do it right now, please. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Yeah. And one other thing, we have our Patreon set up. If you're not familiar with what Patreon is a great platform for
any creative, anyone creating something.
Yeah. So essentially what any content creator can do is they can go on and give like tiers of rewards for any kind of donation. Even if it's as low as
$1,
$1 or whatever, any little bit helps us here at Burnt Out to Lit Up. We have a lot of things that we want to do, and we need all kinds of money to
like next level things we want to do for you guys.
Yeah.
The
donation tiers, are in exchange for some awesome rewards. We're coming out with exclusive donor content, donor only episodes that you can only access through Patreon. Chances to be on the podcast, or chances to have your specific questions answered, things like that. If you go on our page, it's Patreon, patreon.com/burntouttolitup. You can check it out and see what we're offering.
Yeah, it's like a win-win for everyone because you help us and then we deliver exclusive things to you. Yeah. So everyone's happy.
Yeah, the podcast is always going to be free. We're never going to make you pay for this kind of stuff. I mean, we always want to deliver free, valuable content to healthcare providers. But if you find it in your heart to want to help us out a little bit, that would be the way to do that.
Well, happy listening, guys.
Yep. Have fun. Goodbye.
So my husband's here.
Hey, Stephanie. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? What was your name again?
Good. Michael.
Michael, it's nice to meet you.
You too. Yeah.
Thanks. So are you guys ready to do this?
For sure.
It's funny. I just did another one last night. So it seems to be the week for podcasts, and I have another one lined up for tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Podcasting is getting so huge. They're cropping up everywhere. Every possible topic. It's kind of awesome.
It really is, because I feel like it's a great way for people to learn. Yeah. And sure. I don't know. It's a very cool thing. I love it.
Yeah. Well, we love it too. That's why we started it. But I was like so interested in. I just found you on Instagram. I was searching hashtags. I don't even know what the hashtag was. Something spiritually related, and I came across a lot of people. But then like I found your page, and I really liked you, so I just reached out to you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, I'm glad that you did. Thanks for allowing me to be a part of your journey. I'm totally chill with opening up and talking to you guys about whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm good with whatever. So last night, the podcast I did was like so long and so out, it was so full of information. I was like, okay, tomorrow we're just going to chill and talk about whatever. So that's good.
Yeah. I have some questions. I wrote them down. And first of all, your book, I'm going to talk about it a lot. So I'm going to.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that I sent you a copy of that. It's like that's right. Okay, cool. Very cool. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a lot I'm going to mention it a lot just because I really like it. And I'll also be, it inspired me to ask more questions or some different questions. So I'll ask you starting with your story, and then what is an empath? How do you know you are one? And then I'm really interested in energy and archangels, and this is something we've never talked about on the podcast, but I'm totally into. And it's why not go there?
Okay. Well, yeah. Let's see. That's a lot to cover in an hour, but I will try to do as much as I can. Yesterday, the gal who interviewed me, she had pretty similar, and we literally got through 3 of those things because it's so much. So if we don't, I'll always come back and do another one with you, a couple months down the road or something if you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We recently had to do a part 2 with a psychologist I had on because we got through so 2 questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
yep, it's a lot, and especially when you start getting into the 7 bodies of energy. I mean, last night alone, she wanted to talk about the chakras. And that covered 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So, but I am totally down to talk to you guys about whatever you guys want to. So,
and I don't know anything about any of
he doesn't know.
this,
He doesn't know anything.
So if I ask a really basic question, that
Okay. So one of the big things, I know you guys are probably aware of this. I'm a full-time psychic medium. So it sounds to me, and it felt like before I even jumped in to talk to you guys are both kind of starting to go through your own personal awakenings. Is that right?
Yeah.
I guess you could say that. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
For me, it's really big this year. Yeah.
You're the one who mentioned you had a Saturn return, right?
I think
right.
I think that's what's happening right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Saturn return is all about karma and destiny, and so destined life changes. So when you're going through a Saturn return, you're going to go through some massive epiphanies and some aha moments and a lot of soul growth and transformation. So if you're moving through a Saturn return and that's something that's kind of starting to happen for you, you're definitely going to be going through some deepening and awakenings for sure.
Yeah, and okay.
When I first heard about Saturn's return was that show Parks and Recreation. I don't know if you watched that show, and they mentioned it for something, and I was like, what is that? They kind of said about what it is. When you turn a certain age, it's the same area that Saturn was in when you were born, and it's a total you get this urge to change your life.
Yeah. Basically, you start to live from the heart more and stop living so much from the head. So you kind of move from living in alignment with fear, which is, worry, stress, doubt, anxiety, living in alignment with things that don't serve you. And you start moving back towards what does serve you. And you start kind of having heightened intuition. You start to realize that maybe some of the things that you thought were good weren't necessarily. There's a lot of things that happen, career changes, relationship changes, massive amounts of things that can happen during a Saturn return. It just depends on your, what the goals were that you set out for yourself to master in this particular lifetime. So it's, Saturn is big. Saturn is a big one, and it lasts usually for about 18 months. So.
Yeah. It's, definitely started this year, and a lot of shifts in our life. But before, I want to ask you about your journey first, what, and I read some of it in the book, your journey into discovering your gifts and how you can help people. So can you share that?
Yeah. Okay. So are we good to go? Are we recording?
Oh yeah, we're recording.
Yeah. I figured might as well just keep rolling.
Okay. I'm just going to keep rolling. Okay, cool. All right. So, empath. Okay. So my story basically is, I grew up a really sensitive kid. And, I was always really able to sense energy around me from the time that I was just a little girl. But my issue is a little bit different than the average empath. And it was that I was kind of brought up in a household where I was taught to think first and not feel, and, to do things that were very logical and very rational and very by the book. I was brought up in a very, conditioned home. So I was brought up Catholic, which was totally fine. There's things about it that I love, and there were things about it that I did not love. And I had to kind of learn to listen to my own voice versus that which what everyone around me was telling me all the time. And it created some problems in my household because, it was coming in as the old soul that I am. My parents would try to parent me in a certain way, or, things would happen in the household, and mom and dad would try to lie and say that everything was okay. And here I am, this little intuitive empath. And I knew things were rocky or things were kind of funky or whatnot. And I would talk to my parents about it, but I would talk to them in a way that they didn't necessarily love. And so I realized, later on in life that what I was doing was I was picking up energy. And the more I allowed myself to start to feel and get more in tune with my own vibration and keep myself energetically centered, the more intuitive I got and the more my psychic gifts kind of opened. Now, from the time I was a little girl to the time I was, today, I've always been able to receive messages from spirit, but it wasn't until I kind of acknowledged who and what I was, and that I was energetically sensitive, and that maybe I was a little bit different than the average person, that things just kind of started falling into place for me. A super emotional kid. I felt everything. I got very overwhelmed during confrontations and arguments, even if I wasn't involved in the confrontations. Like if I watched my stepmom and my father fight, or if I was driving home from school and I could tell that they were getting ready to like have a fight or something, it would cause me so much anxiety and so much stress. I would also have a lot of stress out of the middle of nowhere. I would have no idea what it was. I would just start panicking for no reason, and come to discover it was that I could either feel an energy shift getting ready to happen. Maybe dad was going to be coming home from work in a couple hours, and then him and my stepmom would get into a fight or something. And then I couldn't sleep. I always had issues sleeping as a kid too. I was very awake at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, which is not average for a kid. But yeah, so a lot of empaths basically, are just very much in tune with energy that's around them, subtle energy that's around them. And a lot of kids specifically, like who are labeled ADD or, have all these labels, they're actually just really old souls who are very sensitive kids who are in tune with energy often that the adults around them have kind of numbed themselves to, and so, yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.
There's so many questions that I have already. It's like,
yeah, I know, I'm sorry. But basically, an empath is, man, how do I want to describe this? You can hear I'm sure you guys have heard the terms HSP, which is highly sensitive person. And then there's empaths. So an HSP is somebody who is very sensitive to their surroundings, has a heightened awareness of like external stimuli, and like they'll notice things around people such as like, smells or details or changes in other people's body language. And so that's kind of an HSP. An empath is somebody who has like the same traits as an HSP, but they also have the ability to feel or sense what someone else has felt or is feeling. And then they can take on that emotion within themselves. So, and it's something that empaths are typically born with. This isn't something that can be learned. Empaths kind of exemplify empathy, which means they process the emotions and the experiences of other people. So, for example, when an empath is in the presence of another empath, somebody who is very much like them in their own vibration, the empath will typically walk away feeling very empowered. They'll feel like an equal energy exchange had been taken place. But when an empath is around somebody who is very depressed, or what we like to term as maybe even an energetic vampire, the empath will walk away feeling completely and totally drained and feeling sad as if it was their stuff. But then the energetic vampire walks away feeling amazing because they just dumped all their stuff onto the empath, and the empath is now kind of transmuting that energy for the energetic vampire. So empaths feel everything very deeply, very, very deeply. They're very intuitive, and many empaths possess psychic gifts. Empaths are usually people who kind of label as quote unquote too emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've taken your quiz in your book, which everyone listening needs to get because in your book, I like that it's a workbook, and I'm bringing this up because I found out that I truly am an empath. I feel things way too deeply, and I've considered it a blessing and a curse because it's beautiful to feel things, but sometimes it hurts.
Yes.
And I'm very I don't know, it's ever since I was young, I've been feeling that. So it was good for me to confirm that, these are the signs, and this is what I am, and this is how I can like work with it.
Yeah. And it's something that once you finally discover, because empaths usually don't really know that they're different. Typically, they kind of feel like everybody must feel like this, or everybody must think like this, or everybody must see like this. It takes some serious life experience to finally realize, okay, there's something up with this, and I like how you mentioned that it can be considered a blessing and a curse, because I get that. But one thing that I like to say to people is that, it's a real gift to be able to feel so deeply. Anybody can be a cold SOB. But to be able to have empathy and, you know, feel like you want to help other people, or, you know, because empaths do that. We're the motherers of others. We nurture other people, oftentimes more so than we do ourselves. And, you know, it's a gift. You know, there's a purpose for feeling so deeply. You know, if I wasn't able to feel so deeply, I wouldn't be able to do what I do for a living. I'm able to, you know, pick up on what other people have felt. Or if I'm doing a reading for somebody whose, you know, grandmother has passed or whatnot, that grandmother will impress me with energy. And I have to decipher, you know, what that grandmother went through, or what maybe the message is that has to go through. So if I wasn't able to have such deep feeling, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Right.
Do you have to be like in the room with the person to get these kind of feelings, or
not at all?
No.
Nope, not at all. I work with people all over the world, and, you know, separation is an illusion anyways. We're all one, you know. I know that's a big thing to kind of grasp, you know, at times, but we really are. And so when I'm doing a reading for somebody, or if I'm coaching somebody or whatnot, you know, I offer a lot of intuitive development. Basically, all I have to do is kind of tune into their vibration, and boom, I'm automatically getting impressions about what's going on with that person, what need, you know, maybe some messages that are coming through from their team, all that kind of stuff. Oh,
wow. I wonder what impressions you're getting from us.
I know. It's like, should I throw off good energy?
So it's a little bit different. I'm not, you kind of have to tune in a little bit. I do have the ability to dim it down. Okay. You do have the ability to dim it down. Actually, there's a little exercise in my workbook about how to do that.
Oh, yeah. I have to, like, I went through your workbook and I really focused on the last few chapters, but I'm going to go through it again. And you know what? I want to ask you about, for empaths, like, since I was one and I experienced burnout, I feel like there was many things why I burned out, and that's why I have this show to talk about all those different things. But I feel like, you know, an empath working in a stressful work environment where there's a lot of intense energy. Work. Can you talk about that?
Doesn't work. So empaths do not thrive in stress. Yeah. Not at all. In fact, an empath can really experience burnout and adrenal fatigue. Yeah. So if that's something that you are experiencing, I would highly recommend a major lifestyle change for you, because it's something that will cause issues for you for a while. So if I remember right, you do work in a high stress environment, don't you?
I used to, and I burnt out, and now I created my own business. I work for myself.
Oh, perfect. Great. Okay. Wonderful. So for people who do work in a high stress environment, big thing that I always recommend, if you're highly empathic, you've got to learn what the difference is between your energy and other people's energy. Okay. How you do this, to start off with, meditation. You have to learn what it means to get in touch with your own vibration versus others. So when you spend time alone, or when you spend time meditating, tuning into your own vibration, going on hikes, however you consider meditation, traditional meditation is wonderful, but if some people have a hard time with that, connecting with nature, that's great too. You kind of start to realize, okay, this is mine. That thought was mine. That feeling was mine. Okay. Yeah. And you find clarity. Then you throw an empath in with a bunch of people who have a bunch of crazy amount of energy, who are not energetically balanced. The empath can get incredibly thrown off and absorb all that, because empaths are like emotional sponges. Okay. They're constantly picking up energy. I like to kind of describe them as, I think it was Pigpen off of Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
He's got the big nastiness all around him. That's basically what an empath's aura, or anyone's aura, can look like when they have all this stuff attached to them. So meditation is going to be a great way to do this. Getting in touch with your own vibration, setting clear intentions around what you will allow into your space and what you will not allow into your space. Does this person serve me? Does this energy serve me? How do I feel when I walk into work? How do I feel when I'm out of work? What's serving me about that situation? What's not serving me about that situation? Going home and clearing yourself. So Epsom salt baths, again, meditation, using essential oils, Reiki healing is fantastic. Yoga is amazing. Keeping yourself well hydrated. All of those kind of things will actually help strengthen the aura, which will help kind of fight that. A healthy diet is going to be essential for an empath. Empaths like to eat the feelings. That's something that we do. And the reason we do that is because eating helps us feel grounded. Because typically, and if you are an empath, you know this feeling. You'll feel like you're floating. You'll feel like you're completely and totally out of your body. You just feel a mass amount of anxiety in the chest, and then it feels like you're like above your head when you're not grounded. So you want to do things like walking barefoot on the grass. You want to use one of my favorite essential oils for grounding yourself is geranium. Putting geranium or frankincense on the bottom of your feet, that will help keep you grounded. The reason why walking barefoot on the grass is good for you, and this is good for anybody, you don't have to be an empath. We're electrical beings. So unless we're grounded, guess what? We're going to have a burnout. So if we're absorbing all of this energy consistently every day, specifically if you're an empath, you're going to have such overload if you don't have anywhere for that energy to go. Just like the energy in a house, just like the electricity in the house. They have to ground the electricity. So the earth provides neutrons, or I'm sorry, negative. Oh, is it negative energy? I can't remember now.
Negative ions. Yeah.
That actually goes up and through the bottom of your feet. It's amazing. And so that's something that I do. When you watch me, I don't know if you said you watch me on Instagram. I do little lives every day or whatnot. And I do these little tips and ups. I'm usually walking barefoot on the grass. That's how I get my grounding in every day. And that really helps keep me grounded. So that's one of the very first things that an empath needs to do, whether it's in work or just managing daily stress. If you're not grounded, you're going to have a problem for the rest of your life. You've got to make a lifestyle change and teach yourself how to stay grounded. And that'll help, 80% of your problem being grounded.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sometimes when we talk about burnout, we talk about compassion fatigue in healthcare providers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and how like the mental rigors of, absorbing kind of those like energies, like if a patient's like in pain or if a patient is like not feeling great mentally because of whatever condition they have and stuff. It's like, what are your thoughts from like an empath's perspective on how people can like deal with that? Yeah.
Absolutely. So I love that you're bringing this up. That's compassion fatigue. I love that term even. This is something that's huge for empaths. Again, boundaries, obviously you're in the healthcare profession. If you're an empath in the healthcare profession, you're going to be exposed to these situations, but you cannot allow yourself to take on the physical ailments. And a lot of times, I don't know if you saw that I wrote about the different types of empaths. A lot of healers, Reiki practitioners, nurses, they are physical empaths. Physical empaths have the ability to take on the emotions and the ailments of other people. And because that's just the natural healer in you. So setting boundaries, right? Again, learning what's your energy and what's not your energy. One of the best tricks that I love to teach my clients, and I've got clients in all kinds of fields, is blowing energy back towards whoever it is that has the ailment or the emotional issue. It doesn't mean that you don't have compassion for them, but it means that you're setting a healthy boundary for yourself in order to not take on that. So I tell my clients all the time, take a nice deep breath, inhale some nice white light, whatever feels right for you, and literally imagine blowing that energy back. That's not mine for me to absorb, that's yours. And that definitely helps. But empaths are guilty of giving too much. And often empaths are very codependent. And this comes from, something that they've been exposed to in childhood or early adulthood. Empaths love to give because they feel validated when they give. They feel appreciated when they give. And then they're a little guilty for giving too much. So again, it always comes back to boundaries. What serves you? What doesn't serve you? Are you giving too much of your energy? When you make sure that you're getting an equal energy exchange every time.
Yeah, I've never had boundaries until this year. during my Saturn's return.
That's a big lesson that empaths have to learn, are boundaries. I completely understand. And then often when an empath finally does start to set boundaries for themselves, people get pissed.
Yeah.
Because they're so used to the empath giving to them and self-sacrificing, that when an empath finally just says no, people are shocked. And it's really hard for an empath to say no. Yeah. It's a huge ribbon cutting ceremony when an empath finally learns how to say no and mean it. It's amazing, and not feel guilty for it, because oftentimes empaths will feel so guilty for saying no, and then they'll just do it anyways, but then they're exhausted or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the first things I did as a physical therapist is shut myself down from there's so much negative coming at you all the time. At least that's how I was feeling. I mean, someone comes to you every day, every 30 minutes with a problem, right? Yeah. And it's a really bad problem for them because it's affecting their life so much that they went to the doctor for it. And it's I don't know. I guess naturally I just kind of I put up a shield right away. And I was like, all right, this is going to be separate from my life. I don't know anything about being an empath, but I mean, maybe that's kind of what you're talking about there.
Yeah, no, I love that. You're setting a boundary for yourself. If you're a healer, you're most likely an empath, sweetie. Empaths are natural healers. The thing is that it depends on where you are more in your energy. If you're more in your masculine, you tend to be in your mind more. If you're more in your feminine, you tend to be in your heart, your feelings more. But we each have that energy inside of us. We have a masculine side, we've got a feminine side. I think that it's great that you set boundaries the way that you did. That's amazing. That's really what it is. There's setting boundaries in all ways. You're literally setting an energetic boundary for yourself. That's amazing. That's great. A lot of people do not do that.
No, Mike, I think you have adapted to that growing up, and just your circumstances with family and dealing with highly sensitive people. That was an adaptation that you learned earlier.
Yeah, I guess so. Just making sure that I was separate from anything else. Right. Yeah. Very cool.
So okay, all this wonderful energy talk, and I'm excited to go and talk about, I have 10 things I want to say, but I want to move into chakras because I know that those are energies, and I was reading in your book, they're like discs or wheels in the body that correspond with an organ.
Yeah. So, okay. Chakras are points within the physical body where energy flows through us. And it's really important for us to keep the energy points healthy and flowing very openly. Okay. The spinning wheel or disc that you're referring to is the Sanskrit name for chakra. So if any of the chakra is experiencing blockages, you are going to be experiencing an emotional or a physical symptom. Dr. Oz talks about this. His wife is a Reiki practitioner, and he has Reiki practitioners all the time in his operating room. It's a pretty cool thing to do some research on. Yeah, because he understands how energy works. So if you're experiencing a blockage that is going on from, an energy blockage, you can literally have a physical or emotional symptom. So for example, if you have a blocked heart chakra, you're going to have a hard time learning how to love the self and other people, and have kind of a hard time getting into alignment with what it is that you're worthy of in this lifetime. It can lead to depression. It can lead to fatigue. It can grow into anxiety. For those people who have a hard time speaking their truth and speaking up and owning their voice and not allowing others to walk all over them, this would be the throat chakra, and this can lead to thyroid disorders. Basically it's each chakra is connected to the central nervous system and conducts energy known as Kundalini energy. And the function of the main chakras can be very intricate. It's very intricate. And they are an energy system that communicates with the body using biological systems like the endocrine glands and the nervous system. I'm sure you guys are familiar with these two systems. So the endocrine system is a network of glands that is in charge of producing, regulating, and distributing hormones, right?
Right.
So each of the chakras in the body is actually paired with a gland that helps kind of govern its overall function. So I can talk about that if you guys want to. I can just kind of highlight what each, I think you'd be pretty surprised. I know that I've personally been moved through this. And once I got some energy balancing, it was amazing how my physical symptoms were just gone. You know? Yeah. So I feel like as a physical therapist, Mike, this might even be really beneficial for you.
Yeah, I mean, can I go like a quick side tangent?
Of course.
If possible. I'm wondering, like, because a lot of our listeners are healthcare providers, and they like when they hear words like, you know, energy and chakra, they might be like a little skeptical. I'm wondering, like, what do you say to those people that, you know, I don't know, maybe don't learn. I mean, they don't learn about that stuff in school, so I mean, they might immediately hear that and be like, what? Well, I mean, what? Yeah. What do you?
Sure. I mean, if you're in the healthcare field and you're skeptical of the word chakra, then refer to it as an energy point. I mean, everything is energy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were to go put a pin under a microscope, you'd see it vibrating at a certain frequency. If you were to go put your hand under a microscope, you'd go see it vibrating at a higher frequency or at a denser frequency. Right. Everything is just energy. We know this. Science has confirmed this. So it's just energy. That's really all a chakra is. Right. It's just an energy point.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That really simplifies it, I guess, for people that maybe have not heard it. I actually heard about them. I heard about this a while ago, but I never, it was this year I started to really like explore that. And so I read in your book, like you go through, the chakras and what they're connected to. But now can you just briefly like go from bottom to top, just what like a healthy energy chakra looks like, and what like an imbalanced chakra looks like?
Okay. And I also just to kind of refer back to that question really quick, think of your body as an instrument. That's really what it is. It's a body instrument. And then think about how all instruments need to be tuned. And that's kind of a great way to think about, you know, the different energy points. So, okay, so let's start with the root chakra, because this is the main chakra. So the root chakra is associated with stability, survival. It's where we gain our sense of security from. So if you are trusting, independent, find yourself to be grounded, you typically have a balanced root chakra energy. However, if you're constantly in a state of fear, frustration, worry, anxiety, this is an indicator that your root chakra energy is out of balance and you are absolutely not grounded. Yeah, and this tends to be the number one problem for empaths. Okay. The root chakra is connected with the adrenal glands, which are responsible for our fight or flight response. This response is like an instinctive response to threatening situations that either tell you to resist with force or kind of run away. And the adrenal glands are made up of two parts. The outer is called the adrenal cortex, and the inner is called the adrenal medulla. And these produce hormones such as cortisol that regulates the body's metabolism. So healthy and balanced adrenal glands help us stay grounded, calm, support our parasympathetic nervous system, and keeps us grounded and stable. So there's several things that you can do, like I was saying, to balance the root chakra: grounding yourself, live in the moment, doing something physical, releasing worry, doubt, anxiety, doing whatever you can to kind of bring yourself back into feeling calm, knowing that you have everything that you need, trusting, knowing that you are powerful, that you are safe, that you have purpose, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people who have root chakra issues, massive anxiety comes from that. Okay. Sacral chakra is the second chakra. So this is our chakra that's associated with like movement, creation. If you go with the flow of life, you're sexually fulfilled, you naturally play, you trust the process of life, you can pretty much guarantee that your sacral chakra energy is on point. However, if you need to control, you're overly concerned about what other people think of you, you do not feel fulfilled on a passionate level, this is kind of an indicator that your chakra is out of balance. And side note, for women who have a hard time trusting their intuition, sacral chakra is going to be an issue because the sacral chakra is associated with the gonads and the ovaries. Okay, so a lot of women who have a hard time trusting in their intuition will have issues with their ovaries. So they can have PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. They'll have funky menstrual cycles. They'll be suffering from adrenal fatigue. And Dr. Christian Northrup, I don't know if you guys are familiar with her. She's a Hay House author, very successful Hay House author. She has actually done studies where she has learned that our thoughts and our feelings are linked directly to our physical body through our endocrine system. So basically, if we're ignoring or suppressing our intuition, we can have issues with the sacral chakra energy area. Yeah. So energy blockages in this area. Here, you can do things like stepping into your creative power, embracing, what it is that you feel passionate about, going with the flow of life, like stop trying to control everything. Sacral chakra stretching, Kundalini yoga is great for this. And this is something that's huge for the sacral chakra. Allow yourself to feel. Do not suppress your emotions, because your emotions are the map that kind of guides you towards what you're supposed to be experiencing and what doesn't serve you, that kind of stuff. And there's actually an amazing documentary that you guys might be interested in. It's called Heal, Heal, healdocumentary.com. It's won all kinds of awards. It just came out a few months ago. Nice. And it has tons and tons of doctors on there, scientists, explaining exactly what I'm talking about.
Wow.
We're always looking for a good wine-umentary night.
Check that out. It's just healdocumentary.com. It's amazing. So the next chakra is the solar plexus. So this is where a lot of people have issues. The solar plexus is associated with self-confidence, a strong will. If you've got a strong sense of self-respect, willpower, confidence, pretty much guarantee that you've got a balanced solar plexus. However, if you suffer from low self-esteem, procrastinate, find yourself being taken advantage of, solar plexus is definitely out of balance. So you can have stomach issues. The solar plexus is also connected with the adrenal glands and the pancreas. So healthy and balanced adrenal glands help us stay grounded, calm, same kind of thing. And the pancreas, which helps with digestion and hormone production, is located kind of slightly below the stomach. So if this energy is out of whack at all, you can experience high sugar levels, which can kind of be associated with diabetes. So I've noticed that a lot of people who have solar plexus issues suffer from either type 1 or type 2 diabetes. It's really interesting. Often, I've only seen like one case of type 1 diabetes, but I've seen type 2 diabetes a ton with people who have low self-esteem. Wow. And then they eat. Yeah, it's very interesting. So something that can help with solar plexus energy: breath of fire yoga, exercise, daily affirmations, cutting cords from people who no longer serve us, situations that no longer serve us, building that self-esteem, choosing a powerful energy, a love-based energy versus feeling like a victim, all that kind of stuff. Yes. So the whole thing with the chakras is it's like there's so much connected to our emotions that affect our physical body. Yeah. And I think that this is something that science is really finally starting to discover and put out there publicly. Like, hey, our emotions are here for a reason. And if we're suppressing anything within our physical body, guess what? It's manifesting in our physical body. Or anything that we're suppressing in our emotions is manifesting in our physical body. Yeah. So heart chakra, this is the center. This is the center of the chest. It's associated with unconditional love. It's referred to as the center. If you have a strong sense of self-worth and you continue to choose love over fear, you can pretty much be guaranteed that you've got a balanced heart chakra energy. But if you feel unloved, indulge in self-pity, if you're needy, clingy, codependent, find yourself giving too much for validation, heart chakra is out of balance. The heart chakra is connected with the thymus gland, which is considered to be the master gland when it comes to having a healthy immune system. So the thymus gland produces white blood cells called T cells that fight off infections and have the ability to destroy abnormal cells in the body. Science has proven that T cell count increases when we are experiencing positive emotions like giving and receiving love. And the thymus is kind of considered to be the seat of the soul. And it's very powerfully affected by emotions. So when we're feeling low vibrational emotions such as anger, hate, our ability to fight off infection and inflammation is reduced drastically. However, there have also been lots of studies in regards to if we've forgiven ourselves, forgiven others, and focus on living from the heart, our ability to fight off disease and inflammation actually rises. Wow. So it's pretty amazing. And again, all this stuff is in the book, but balancing the heart chakra, honor your heart. Always honor what your heart is saying to you. You feel the way that you do for a reason. Acknowledge your self-worth, do things that make you feel good, allow yourself to receive. And what I mean by that is there's so many times when we ask the universe or we try to manifest something for what we want, but we wind up blocking it due to our attachments and expectations on how it'll arrive, or living in fear that we won't get what we want. So allowing yourself to receive is just living in the moment, listening to your intuition, and just kind of letting go, trusting. Huge for heart chakra. Mm-hmm. Next, we move up to the throat chakra. And the throat chakra is communication and self-expression. Mm-hmm. So if you've got the ability to express yourself authentically, not be scared of judgment of what other people are going to say, think, or feel about you, pretty good, solid, balanced throat chakra energy. Mm-hmm. However, if you find yourself fearful of speaking your soul's truth, speaking the truth, speaking up, can't express yourself clearly, worried about what other people are going to think about you, if you speak your truth, throat chakra is out of balance. The throat chakra is connected with a thyroid gland. Mm-hmm. And the thyroid gland is the largest organ in the endocrine system. So it produces hormones T4 and T3, which help us maintain a normal blood pressure and heart rate, as well as muscle tone. Throat chakra is also, a lot of people don't realize this, the throat chakra or the thyroid is actually also in alignment with the sacral chakra energy too. So this can actually, if you've got thyroid issues, you can actually have problems like conceiving, or you'll have irregular periods, stuff like that. Wow. So they all work together. Yeah. Okay. So throat chakra stuff, I always just say, speak your truth, communicate clearly. It doesn't matter how scary something feels. You've got to speak it up, speak up if that's what, you're feeling, not allowing yourself to live in illusions, or the lies that you tell yourself about, whatever it is that you're having a hard time with, always tell other people how you're feeling. I also recommend screaming or singing, and people laugh at me when I say that, but it's like you're literally moving energy when you do that out of your throat chakra.
I read that you screamed, like you went to a field and you screamed.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So when I was going through my awakening, and I was really, because I'm also a Reiki master. So when I was going through my awakening and I was really being guided to talk about some of this stuff, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Because, like Mike said, there's going to be a lot of people out there who are like, what is she talking about? Everything is energy. What in the world? Mm-hmm. But I was really being moved through an experience in my life at that particular point where I was like, I have got to do something. And I was keeping it all in, and I just went out into a field and I screamed really, really loud. And I'm not kidding you. I just felt so much better. And it was like, I literally moved energy out of my throat. And before I knew it, that's like divine soul journey just kind of took off after that.
Damn. Sounds really therapeutic.
It was just amazing. Oh God, absolutely. And that's the thing is people are just like, you feel it when you have stuck energy in your body, you feel it. You're like, man, my back is killing me. Man, this is killing me. And, Louise Hay, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, she wrote a whole book, How to Heal Your Body. And she literally did studies on what it means to have back pain, what it means to have neck pain, what emotions are connected to hip pain, ankle pain, all that. And it all comes through blocked energy, all of it. Yeah, suppression of the emotions. And then you go, oh my God, that makes so much sense. neck pain, I'm never able to see other people's point of view. Back pain, like middle back pain, is associated with the heart chakra, and it is associated with not feeling emotionally supported. Wow. So, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, this gets really deep, and I'm kind of giving you guys like chakra 101 really quick.
Yeah. That's what we need.
So we did the throat chakra, then we moved to the third eye. Now the third eye, this is where a lot of intuitives, a lot of psychics are, their third eye chakra energy is just through the roof. This is associated with light, intuition, imagination, and clarity. If you know your purpose and you're always honoring and trusting your intuition, you can meditate quite easily. You can totally rest assured that you have a balanced third eye energy. However, if you find yourself doubting your intuition, have a very hard time trusting yourself, your third eye chakra is probably out of balance. Okay. The third eye chakra is connected with the pineal gland or the pineal gland. That's a small endocrine gland in the brain that produces melatonin. So a hormone that affects and balances sleep and wake patterns. Melatonin, a lot of people don't realize this, also affects our ability to adapt to change. So when you feel change coming up in your life, and you're like, I don't feel like I have any clarity, I'm so nervous, I'm so worried. This is why so many people say meditate, because meditation will help with all of this, the third eye chakra, and finding clarity and feeling good about where it is that you're going in life. So things that you can do to balance the third eye, learn to kind of see with your eyes closed. Do this little exercise for yourself whenever you can, or your listeners can do it at home or whatnot. But when you're relaxed and you have your eyes closed, or maybe you're getting ready to fall asleep, pay attention to what you're seeing. Take note of the colors, the shapes, the images, possibly the animals that you're seeing, the names, or the visions that show up. Because sometimes you'll see things like maybe like mini movie scenes or whatnot. A lot of times that's your guidance coming through. You're learning how to tap into your natural clairvoyant skills. Everybody's psychic. Everybody has these gifts.
What?
Yes. Everybody has them. The big thing is learning how to manage your energy.
Yeah.
Everybody has these natural clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentient, claircognizance. Yeah. So visualization exercises, spend a moment every day visualizing or daydreaming about what you want to manifest. Pay attention to your diet, because your diet will definitely affect the third eye chakra. So you want to put high vibrational food into your body, like organic fruits and vegetables. No processed foods. Cheese is a bad one for the third eye chakra.
Oh my God. I know. I've been really working hard on the cheese.
I can't pull away from cheese either. I understand. Keeping a dream journal. A lot of intuitive empaths in particular are very psychic, very clairvoyant, and they will get messages through dreams. And then make sure you take time to communicate with spirit. Seriously, we're never alone. We are absolutely not alone. Maybe ask your team, ask the universe, ask God, ask source, whatever it is that, resonates with you. Ask a question. Which way am I supposed to go next? Close your eyes. Pay attention to what comes up in your mind's eye. And it might seem very silly, very silly. You might see like a penguin or something. I promise you there's a message. I promise you. Okay. And then lastly, there's the crown chakra. The crown chakra sits just slightly above our head. And this vortex is associated with spirituality, awareness, connection, and is often kind of referred to as a satellite or like an antenna that receives guidance. We all have an inner voice, right? We all know that little voice. And 9 times out of 10, we go, damn it, I wish I would have listened to my inner voice. I wish I would have listened. I knew better, right? Yeah. If you are aware that you're a spiritual being having a physical experience and not the other way around, feel very clear, you can pretty much guarantee that your crown chakra energy is on point. However, if you find yourself denying a spiritual connection, possibly feeling misunderstood, or lacking understanding when it comes to who you truly are, crown chakra may be out of balance. The crown chakra is associated with the pituitary gland, but it also works in association with the pineal gland and the hypothalamus. So pituitary gland and the hypothalamus work together to kind of regulate the endocrine system overall. So because of where the crown chakra is located, this chakra is connected with the brain and the entire nervous system. So you can see how each one of these energy points affects our system as a whole. So if one of these energies is off, it can throw us into a spiral, and we don't even realize that we're, going that route until we either end up sick, depressed, hurt, coming down with dis-ease, which is exactly how I like to refer to it. It's dis-ease. And some of the ways that you can balance the crown chakra is allowing yourself alone time. Alone time is essential for anyone, especially empaths. This allows you to connect to your own vibration. Pay attention and honor the recurring ideas that you receive. A lot of times people don't pay attention to their recurring thoughts. They just think they're randomly thinking things, but in all reality, that's divine guidance. That's your team coming through. Third, trust yourself. Trust in your inner wisdom and challenge yourself to accept that not everything is logical or black and white. We're spiritual beings having a physical experience. Okay, Earth is nothing but a school. Fourthly, it's the truth. We come here to master things, and we all have a different curriculum. So fourth, choose love.
But what's graduation?
Everything. Oh my God, Mike, don't.
I'm sorry. I want to.
What's graduation?
Yeah, like what is?
Well, I think
learning?
you know that answer. Soul evolution, growth.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
We're choosing love over fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, keep going. We didn't mean to cut you off.
No. You're totally fine. You're totally fine. The crown chakra, again, like I said, and then there's also we actually have thousands of chakras, but these are the main that everyone knows, right?
Right.
And then for empaths in particular, I'm going to throw in the foot chakra. Just because it helps with grounding and whatnot. So, foot chakra is bottom of the feet. If you're not balanced, you're going to suffer from insomnia. You're going to feel fatigue. You're going to feel out of your body and spacey. You're going to feel restlessness, anxiety, disconnected, totally disorientated. Some of the best things you can do to balance your foot chakra, again, walking on the ground, and Epsom salt foot baths. Those are great, as well as like essential oils on the bottom of the feet. So just very, very quickly, I feel like I rushed through that.
Oh no, that's
fine. No, that was awesome.
It's a lot of information, and
it's so much information.
You probably do a whole episode on each one.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, again, it's just energy. And so being a Reiki master, I will get people up on the table, and because I can feel and sense energy, I can tell you right away usually if somebody has a throat issue, if somebody has thyroid issues, if somebody has, if I've got a female up on the table, I can tell you, something's going on with her ovaries. I've had women up on the table who can't conceive. And then I go up into their heart space and I go up into their throat chakra and I'm like, oh, wow, she has a hard time loving herself. She doesn't listen to her intuition. She has a really hard time speaking the truth or speaking her truth. No wonder her body's shutting down, until she gets herself energetically balanced. Of course, she's not going to be able to conceive.
Oh, wow.
So what exactly is Reiki, and like what happens when someone comes in for like a first visit with you or something? Like what is it?
Reiki isn't something that I mainly do anymore. It's something that I do kind of on the side for most people, but Reiki is just energy healing. It's, how do I want to explain it? It's so hard to just to simplify.
Yeah.
Have either one of you guys ever had a Reiki treatment or anything like that?
I've had an informal, super informal, just someone that asked me for my permission to read me when we were out once. So.
Oh, okay. So reading and Reiki is something that's totally different.
Ah, okay.
So let me kind of get into that. See how I want to. I don't want to like dominate that with Reiki. Basically, Reiki is like an ancient art that treats the body, the mind, and the soul. It involves the practice of basically channeling life force energy through a physical and emotional body to kind of help promote balance and an overall sense of well-being. Okay. It's really important to know that Reiki works in conjunction with and is not a replacement for medical treatment. Right. However, there are hospitals all over the world now. I think last time I checked, I think there's like, oh God, don't quote me on this, but I think there's like 44 now in the Pacific Northwest or on the West Coast that actually have Reiki healers. But you have to be a nurse in order to be Reiki healer in the hospital. Yeah, so hospitals are actually accepting Reiki now. They have whole Reiki departments. Where I live here in Boise, Idaho, there are Reiki departments at the 2 major hospitals.
That's awesome.
Wow. So basically, Reiki heals by allowing divine energy to flow through the chakras and clear out, which you're so interested in, the 7 bodies of energy. Okay, so this can kind of help with negative thought patterns, help release trauma that someone's been moved through, emotional ailments, and like so much more. So when I get people up on the Reiki table, sometimes I'm able to help heal them and help them get through something that they may have experienced 20 years ago, and it's affecting, their stomach now because they can't seem to get past what it was that they've tried everything, So they're very gentle, very relaxing. Some people will experience like tingling. Other people will experience waves of energy or heat. They'll feel the heat coming off of the Reiki practitioner's hands. A lot of people tend to notice tingling above their head or through the bottom of their feet. But it's just channeling energy. And like I said, Dr. Oz actually has, he has a wonderful quote, and I put it in my book. About Reiki energy. Yeah,
I saw that. I loved it. You had another quote in there that I loved. It was, prayer is talking to God, meditation is God talking to you. I think
it's the truth.
Yeah, love it.
It's the truth. Yeah.
Oh man. So I feel like I had read the book, like your book, like I hadn't read about it before online, but reading your book was just a million times like more in depth, and everything like you touched upon now, like I read in your book, and I was going through the exercises and everything, and I really discovered that my chakras are pretty imbalanced.
Yeah, well, the average person is.
Yeah.
And we don't realize it because we've just been so conditioned to just kind of go, go, go. We never allow ourselves anymore to just stop.
Yeah.
And just flow and just chill. And we always, we're human beings. We're not human doings,
Yes.
So it's like just getting back into the moment and allowing ourselves to live in the moment is so huge. And even with the two of you guys are married, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's lovely, but you both need your alone time, right? Because what can end up happening, and I've seen it happen in relationships, is you become so enmeshed in each other's energy that you don't know what's yours and he doesn't know what is his. And that can really put a damper on a relationship. And if you are an empath and you are discovering that you're an empath, you're going to really want to check out relationships and empaths because it takes a brave soul to love an empath.
You're brave, Mike.
Well,
I mean, wow. Yeah, this has been amazing.
cool.
Just like, I just want to say one more thing before we wrap up.
Are we done?
Well, it's been an hour. I know it doesn't feel like that, right?
If you guys have another question, I'd be more than happy to answer it. If you guys want to talk about one other thing or something.
Okay. Mike, wait.
I'm like bubbling with questions. I'm like a pot that's overflowing.
Mike, you are more than seriously. You are more than welcome to ask me a question. And if either one of you guys want a mini reading, I'm more than happy to provide that to you as well. Just to kind of, I'm feeling like I want to read Mike a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he needs to be read. You know what? I anticipated that Mike would be the one that, like, even though I'm into it, I knew you would be into it.
I've never I don't know anything about it, so it's just interesting.
Okay, well, if we've got time at the end there, I'll kind of tune in because I do have to adjust my energy a little bit to actually do a reading. Okay. So we'll see.
We can always do. I mean, if you're interested in doing like a part 2, like another day too.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, only if you want to.
Cool.
So
yeah. Okay, so I'll ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
It's fine.
Because I know we're both like dying. We're like on the edge of our seats. I've been really tuning into. I was a human doing a lot, and I had a lot of anxiety. So this year, really going into the anxiety and meditation a lot more, and card decks, and just really trying my best to listen. And I'm picking up. Not like they're little, but they're a big deal, like synchronicities. And one time I was talking to Mike in the car, and I was doubting because I'm an entrepreneur. So everything right now is a mystery for someone that really likes like security. It's kind of difficult. But I remember talking to Mike, and we were in the car, and I was doubting my path, and I see a truck go by, like one of those big trucks, and it said, "You're destined for greatness." I was like,
Yep.
whoa.
Yep, that's synchronicity.
It's not
That's usually your team. That's usually your team trying to get. Again, I know this is for, medical practitioners and whatnot, but we're never alone. We are never alone. Again, Earth is a school. We come here to grow. We come here to learn. We come here to serve. We come here to remember our divinity. And
what's your team? Yeah, what does that mean?
Your team is your spirit guides. Yep.
Oh.
I call them your team.
Yeah. So,
because they're here to help you learn the curriculum that you set out for yourself to learn.
Yeah. So actually, if you know what, I can see it in Mike's face. If you're able to, just if I know you offered, and it's fine if you can't, but like a little, oh my God, I can't talk. A mini reading on Mike.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Give me 2 seconds. Let me tune in for a second.
Okay.
So are we done with the questions then? There's nothing else you want to focus on?
Yeah, I think we covered it.
Okay. All right. Give me 2 seconds here, guys. If you guys want to pause it or something, you totally can.
Okay.
Is there something I have to do, or?
No, just get relaxed. You're fine. This is going to be fun for me.
Oh, okay.
I like your energy, Mike.
Thank you.
You're a cool dude. Always in that mind. I can feel it. That's okay though. That's good. Yeah. So right away with you, Mike, I feel self-mastery mode. I really do. I feel like you're in empowerment mode. I feel like you're going to be going through something called, like, I keep seeing the magician in like the traditional oracle, which is somebody who is learning how to master themselves, physically, emotionally, whatnot. I feel like you get stuck in your head constantly, and have a hard time listening to the intuition, which doesn't serve you at all. I feel like this has to do with conditioning or experiences that you kind of grew up around. When I'm in your vibration, I feel like I'm supposed to remind you that you can do whatever it is you set your mind to, that you are a limitless being, and it's up to you to make that happen. I feel like you kind of already get little hits and little inclinations around which way you want to go, but you just have a hard time trusting. That message that I said earlier in the podcast about not everything being logical, my team is hitting me hard that was a big message for you. Okay, not everything is practical. I feel like I want to encourage you to step into your imagination way more. Trust in that inner voice. I'm getting so many little things for you. You've got a great sense of humor, they're telling me as well.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
That's nice. So it's your team that's telling you these things?
Your team, Mike?
Or it's my team?
Oh.
Both typically come through, yeah. I'm not too sure necessarily what is kind of ending or what you're feeling like there's supposed to be like an ending or whatnot, but I definitely feel new beginnings coming your way. It's the fear that keeps you from moving towards the abundance that you're worthy of. I can feel that big time. Change and expand in consciousness is going to help you a lot with that. Tune in, man. Tune in. Mm-hmm. I'm not kidding. Choose love. Listen to your intuition. Pay attention to the signs. Pay attention to the synchronicities. Specifically when it comes to connections in your life, that does this serve me anymore? Does this not serve me anymore? And accept the things that you can't change. Stop living in the past. Don't worry so much about the future. Know that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. I don't know if you do any kind of creative work aside from the podcast, but I really feel like I want to encourage you to get into your creative mode. Yeah. Big time. Okay. I really do. It's like what I feel like when I'm in your vibration is like, break free, man. Try new ventures and experiences, like as a way to kind of grow and learn, I don't know what your sign is, but like, I feel like it's okay to take a little bit of rest, and risk, and like spend some time really focusing upon what it is that you desire. What do you want? What is your heart saying to you? It's about the heart leading you. I feel self-employment for you, but it's about the heart leading you. And then it's about the mind being the tool that helps that happen. It's not the other way around. It should always be the heart first, then the mind. And I really want you to watch your thoughts, because I feel very strongly like you think a lot about what it is that you're fearing, not necessarily about what you're desiring. Believe that what you desire is actually possible and it'll manifest for you. Big time. I don't know. I know you said you're a physical therapist, but man, you're born entrepreneur if you want to be.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's a good time for you to make some changes. And I feel like coming into 2019, you're definitely going to find some clarity on that. Pay attention to the synchronicity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I'm listening and I'm like, yeah, that's
pretty spot on.
Yeah,
I mean,
perfectly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. And if I had more time with you, I'd tune in. You definitely got some peeps around you. But
some peeps.
Yeah.
Wait, you or me? I mean,
Me?
Mike.
you. Yeah, you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder who they are.
Well,
Do they have to be like someone that you've known or no?
Not necessarily, but this does feel like someone you've known. I feel like a male energy around you. For sure. There's definitely a male energy around you, but no, not necessarily. Like our team, they're people who we've known before. And then there's also people who we've known in this particular lifetime who are around us to help us get through stages that we set out for ourselves, or lessons or chapters. I know several clients that I have who are beautiful, beautiful souls who have, their grandmothers or their grandfathers or their brothers or something who have passed over, who have become guides for them. Yeah. But not necessarily. They're not always someone who we know, and they're not always around. Sometimes we have certain guides that come in for different chapters, but that's a whole nother probably 5 podcasts.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I would love to another time, because I don't want to abuse this time, but I would love to connect with. I would love for you to work with you to do a reading for me.
Yeah, no, that would be, yeah, definitely, just keep me posted and keep me, on your list. Let me know how you guys are doing. And when the time comes, if we need to do another podcast, we certainly will.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. This is like,
you're welcome. I hope that helps. I thought it was very cool. I have not been approached by the medical industry yet. And I was like, this is really cool. And I love, again, like I stated on the show, I love how the medical community and hospitals all over, not just the United States, but all over the world, are acknowledging energy healing. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I'm happy to bring that into our podcast, because last thing I want is to be so strict and medical. Like that's not, this is holistic, so yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anything else?
Wait, even though like we.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Are you okay to edit that?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so just like our final signature question, what makes you your most lit up self?
What's me? Helping people, man. I love to help people. I was born to help people. And I remember years ago being like, I know I'm here to help. I didn't know exactly how I was here to help, but I just kind of followed that yellow brick road. And then I'm doing what I'm doing. And I love it. This is what I do full time, all the time. I help people all over the world. And it's like, seriously, being a part of your journey and reading people always say to me, they're like, oh my God, I loved. No. I love being a part of your journey. So I love helping people. That's my thing. So
thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. You're so welcome, you guys. It was a pleasure. You guys are an amazing couple. I dig your vibes.
Thank you.
Mike, listen to that heart.
I will.